What's going on, everybody? Oh, there's still some music in the background. There we go. What's going on, everybody? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. I am doing okay. There's a bunch of movie trailers, or not movie, video game trailers. We're gonna look at a couple of them that just recently came out. We're also gonna talk a little bit about some gaming news, invite some people on, and then yeah, and then maybe play play some games afterwards. But let me know how everybody's doing. I see Audi. Audi, bonjour. Bonjour. Comment ça va? I am doing well. Rouster, what's going on? I think I saw Jeff when I scrolled up. Good evening, Jeff. What is going on? Jeff has been trolling me on Blue Sky about what is it, Jeff? You keep trolling me about Silk Song. Um, are you going to Pizza Fest next month? I am not. I've already went. I think the novelty's worn off with what is going on. Looking forward to my catch up with tomorrow. And Ambi. I see Ambi. Oh, there you go. So hopefully everybody is doing well. I have, like I said, some game trailers. It's going to probably have a little bit of something for everyone. There's actually one I picked out just for Rouster. And then there's like some that are more probably cutesy artsy. Some that are a little bit more poor-ish, and then some that just look really, really pretty. So we have a lot of that to go over. There's some gaming news. I may talk about one thing I have not talked about, and I realized it as I was rewatching Sunday's stream of Mario Kart. If y'all remember, Neos came into the stream. And shout out to Neos. And there was something he had mentioned about it's in reference to the Stop Killing Games movement. He didn't mention that directly, but I think it was Crow Resin who mentioned the crew and how they took that offline. So something that I really haven't given my opinion to, really, the Stop Killing Games movement. So I do want to talk a little bit about that. Just like kind of my point of view. And I think I landed kind of where Audi is, right? And if you haven't seen it, Audi had a different take on it. So I'll talk a little bit about that. Like I said, we'll go over some gaming news. Tomorrow, Saturday, I don't know. I did a video comparing Roblox to Game Pass. So that may be coming out, it's kind of a new format I'm doing. So that video may be coming out Saturday. I may make it a members only video, just because it's a little bit, I don't know. We'll see. It depends on what y'all think of it. So we'll see how that one goes. And yeah, as far as gaming, I actually have not gamed that much. I gamed briefly on Monday. I'm trying to finish up Kunutsigami Path of the Goddess. It's actually much longer than I would have thought. Like, actually, now that I'm past, that first like skill test, I'm past that. And now I'm realizing how much further I have to go down the mountain. And so, but it's still fun. There is like a side story that's going on in the background. So I'm playing that. And also, one of my favorite franchises just launched a new title. They're launching it tomorrow. I have it already ready to go. It's downloaded to the Switch. So we'll watch that trailer here in a second. And yeah, I think I'm trying to get done with Kunutsigami Path of the Goddess. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is still kind of like I'm trugging along. But it's all trying to get to Shinobi. That's coming out at the end of the month. So that's kind of like my gaming. Kind of like where I'm at. Hey, I barely gamed it all for the last two, but Mel, welcome. I know you've been doing a move, but yeah, I think that's part, pulling back is part of the process. As I was telling someone else, I think sometimes to get back into gaming, you have to like maybe leave it for a while or get a little too busy for it. And then you're going to it'll restart you. So someone's like, oh, I think I'm gonna leave gaming. I'm always like, yo, just go go do something else. You know what I mean? I'm not saying go move from Canada to London. That's pretty far. But just go get busy with something else. I've been pretty busy with a lot of stuff. So I think the springtime was all my plants. We're actually about to get another orchid bloom going on. And big thing. A lot of like renovations around the house and aquarium stuff. So hopefully that's all ready to go by mid-October. And the reason it's mid-October is because I have to do some tank cycling to make sure it's good for planted. It's good for plants. But all that's like kind of where I've been doing. And then work is like picked up, like really picked up. And then my side, some other stuff. My business partners are at Gamescom right now. So that is also like really picking up. So yeah, but hopefully everyone's doing well. I still haven't moved in yet, so I still don't have most of my stuff. My goodness, is it still GG's? Is it still in so I mean I've done like military moves across the ocean. I would imagine it's similar, so it's probably taking your stuff a little while to get there. Hopefully it gets there though. But with that said, yeah, let's kick this one off with so this is a game that by all accounts is already super successful. It's in early access. I'm really excited about it. I recently talked to someone at the publisher and they're all super hyped. Like this game has already like kind of surpassed every like what they would have thought was like a super awesome launch. It surpassed that. So I'm super happy for them. It's one of my favorite publishers. But yeah, we're going to watch this. It's a little bit longer. But I don't think I showed this one. And so I do want to show it because it is kind of a game. It's kind of a style I like if you know some of the games I like. All right, but here we go. So it's Titan Quest 2. So it's taken a while for them to come out with a Titan Quest 2. But that's Titan Quest from THQ Nordic. And yeah, there's like a lot of hype building for this game within the action RPG kind of gaming part of the gaming universe. I'm really excited to see it because I think Diablo, as you all know, I just started my Diablo journey probably maybe 2 years ago with Diablo 4. I played the expansion. I then went back and played Diablo 3. I'm debating whether or not to go to Diablo 2, maybe around the holidays. I don't know why. It just feels like a game I'll play around the holidays. But maybe I'll play it a little earlier. But yeah, seeing that, we know we already have Path of Exiles, another action RPG, kind of the free-to-play model. But Titan Quest, what I like about that is does have roots in like kind of from the beginning of action RPGs. Obviously, it's not as old as Diablo as a franchise, but it goes through Greek mythology. You know, as we're Diablo, and you kind of saw it there with the color palette. Diablo is like kind of really gritty, very dark. Titan Quest is a little bit more bright. And I'm interested in the story it is. I'm super big fan of when IP that was something at some time ago where they revitalize it, that they bring new life to it. I think there's so much IP that had a solid run, right? Especially when gaming was just really starting to pick up steam, but people haven't went back to it. And this is a great example of that. Hey, Vet, Diablo is lame. Hey, Paul, what's going on? Diablo 2 Resurrected is cool, but feels dated. Yeah, I agree. But I just want to know the story. I want the cutscenes. Well, Purple Fine, except the Vet should be No, I already only have one co-host, and that's Lo-Fi Monk. But yeah, I think that Titan Quest, it might be something I pick up when it eventually goes, goes gold. Y'all know I can't do early access stuff. It ruins the game for me because it's not fully there. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for that. I know we've gotten some gifteds, but thank you, Paul. And so, yeah, Titan Quest 2, it's really surpassed all their expectations. It looks to have a great launch. I wish No Rest for the Wicked, another game that is an action RPG in that range. I wish they had taken the path of Titan Quest 2, which is don't really show it or launch it until it is in a state that's a little bit more stable. Obviously, I wish the people at Moon Studios the best with their launch in No Rest for the Wicked, but I think it's an interesting dynamic between these two games. But with that said, speaking of Diablo, we're gonna just really briefly news here, and then I'll show you another trailer. I have 5 more. Here's some Diablo news out there for y'all. So Rod Ferguson, with a reputation for closing out tough projects. So I'm assuming he's one of the OG Blizzard people. He's leaving, and he's one of those people. Was really involved with Diablo. It really I don't know how involved he is. Actually, you see, he's been there for 5 years, but I don't know. We've seen a lot of this coming from some of the Microsoft studios. I would just caution anybody from pulling too many assumptions about that, just because. Paul, thank you so much, Paul, with the 5 bomb, as they say on some other channels. But thank you, Paul. All those people are really cool people. Thanks. Ghostbusters is higher in the movie rankings than Back to the Future. I've never even heard of Back to the Future. But with that said, thank you again, Paul. Thank you for that. But yeah, I wouldn't draw too many assumptions. Xbox is very large, and there's a lot of change going on in the market right now. And as we can see, there's some of these OG game developers or people on the gaming side. They're somewhat going off on their own, and with the success of games like Expedition 33 and a couple of other these AAA quality large endeavors, it's these people have the know-how. They've went through it many times, and so it does make you, for me at least, the only thing I wonder is, what does that mean for the kind of some of these older places, right? OG is not the right word, but these incumbent studios. I think there is a paradigm shift going on in gaming. That kind of goes without saying. There's always been a shift going on with gaming. So it's going to be really interesting, in my opinion, to see what happens over the next 3 to 5 years. Microsoft sucks. Oh my goodness, Fat. Personally, I like Ghostbusters and Back to the Future, similar amount. Yeah, I think so. I mean, what I will say about Back to the Future, and if y'all want, we could talk about this later. I would say Back to the Future maintained its quality throughout. If you think about it, like there's like kind of this, and I don't know if that has to do with the storyline of Back to the Future. Like, it's kind of like the same storyline, and it can like go back to the beginning, right? We see that happening like on a couple of them. As we're Ghostbusters, like you have the first two, then you have like the all female cast, which everyone's craps on, but I think it's decent. And then you have the newest two, right? And there is like kind of a through line because some of the actors are the same, but not to the same extent as Back to the Future. I think that grounding force for Back to the Future, also Back to the Future is like nostalgia. Like it's very 80s, as we're like Ghostbusters, you had the 80s, then you don't see anything for like 20 something years. I don't know. That's my thing. That will crush me. We'll see. All right. But with that said, let's get to another trailer. And let me know if I have some issues as far as my internet quality, because I'm trying to do this from my actual internet, but I do have the hotspot ready to go if we need it. All right. But which one do y'all want? All right. I think I'm going to go with a little bit more kiddish, but here we go.
That's Gloomy. Always looking for something to play with and chasing fireflies. Nina, she was different. I'd known that since the day she arrived. She was investigating the son's disappearance. She wanted to find him. There are other stories I could tell about those days. But this is the one people need to hear. These children didn't know they would rattle the world.
Okay, let me know if y'all let me know if this is still going. I switched my internet there. So if I am still having microphone issues, let me know. Logitech did like an update when I turned on my computer. So hopefully it's doing well. I like the Ghostbusters bit in Casper. I don't think I've not like the first I have not seen Casper in so long. Like that, like the 90s Casper? Wasn't there a 90s Casper? Did I make that up? Did I make up? Was there not? I want to say there was, but I can't be. I don't know that for sure. Oh no, that one. Yeah, so there's two. There's this one and there's another one with twins. We'll get the one with twins next week, but there's two games I was going to do that were kind of on that side of things. But we'll get that one next week. And yeah, as you can see, what I don't know if that's going to like win game of the year or anything, but it does look like one of those games that has somewhat of a unique story to it. Introduction to probably more advanced gameplay, right? Anytime I see one of those games, it's like something you would introduce a kid to for like co-op play or maybe the horror genre. I'm not saying you go from that to like one of the super, super scary ones, but I think that it is, it looked cute. You know what I mean? So I thought I would put it there. There was 1995. Hey, John, what's going on? Aloha. Christina Ricci's 90s Casper. See, I think if it did come out, I don't know what happened. You know, one thing that kind of bothered me about Casper, and maybe they talk about this in the movie. I'm not like a Casper expert. I'm not even really, I don't really know what, I just don't, Casper confuses me because who's he a ghost of? And that one always bothered me. Like when I would see Casper as a kid, they made it seem like this like really nice, friendly ghost. But like what happened to, like, if he's a ghost, I mean he died, right? Like did I miss that? Or like is there a way you can be a ghost without dying? Like, and so anytime I saw Casper and they're like, oh, Casper, the friendly, like the song, I always was like, okay, yeah, but this is a sad story. Someone died. Like, I don't know why we're so like making it out to be he got sick and died. That's what happened. He got sick and died. That's really what happened. See, that's kind of sad. It was told what happened to him in the movie. See, I thought they were going to do something like some backstory to him. And then he just dies. And so does he not know he's dead? Is that what it is with ghosts? Like if they don't know if they're dead, then they can't go to the afterlife? Like that's what I never really understood. Like if Casper knows he's a ghost, then how is he still here? It's just too much. There's just too much there that confuses me with Casper. To the girl character in the movie. He explained it, what happens. See, that doesn't make sense. He knows, but then if he knows he's dead, that's all I'm just saying. Like, okay, if we think about ghosts, there's not enough movies about ghosts to begin with, right? But if we take The Sixth Sense, right, which I thought did a decent job with ghosts, and in the movie Ghost, right? But the movie Ghost kind of plays off on some things as well. Then I just think they get things confused. He had the flu and died. That's really sad. He had unfinished business, but that's not how it works, is it? Like I thought the whole thing about ghosts they are tormented souls. But you're saying a ghost could have, if I understand what you're saying correctly, you're saying a ghost could have that doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't make sense to me because everybody who dies unexpectedly could then say, oh, I have unfinished business and I need to stay here to be a ghost. I just don't think it works like that. I personally don't. In Casper, that's how it works. His dad built a machine to bring him back to life, but died before it could be used. This just seems even more weird. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is sad. Like, Casper, like, he's a friendly ghost, but he's the friendly, sad ghost. I've always felt this way about this guy. I've always felt this way. Like, I was never, like I'm not going to say, like, I dislike Casper. I avoid Casper. I don't know if that makes sense. Everyone does. No, I don't. This is this type of stuff that goes into my mind. When these are the things that come to my mind. This has always been the case. Even when I was like a little kid, like Casper just bothered me. It wasn't like, because it's like an oxymoron. It's like a ghost is scary, but he's friendly, but he's dead. I'm not for Casper, man. That's all I'm going to say. All right. We're going to get to a little bit of more news. I'll wait for some of this other news to come till later. But I do want to get to a game that I saw maybe a couple. I heard it announced a few years ago. I totally forgot about it. But if you're a fan of The Matrix and you're a fan of Cyberpunk, you might be in luck with this game. That's all I'm going to say. I think they're doing a good job in landing the direction. But here we go on this one.
Did you know that black holes are extremely dense objects with such strong gravitational force that nothing can escape them? Not even light. It was nice meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
You ever wonder if we're the ones pulling the strings? Or just living inside someone else's dream? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Even if this is a simulation, the pain still feels real.
Neo Berlin, what do I really know about it? She's like you. She needs your help.
I followed every thread, reconstructed memories. None of it fits.
You think you're solving the case. This is so much bigger. What if the case is you?
The world only works with order. Without order, chaos breaks out. It's out of balance and we must restore it. Do you understand that, Nolan?
Yes.
Nolan, what have you done?
That is Neo Berlin 2087. I like that entire trailer except the very end. I don't know. I'm like, if you had a great trailer, and then you show like this like minor gameplay of this like guy sneaking up. I guess it looks like vampires. I don't know. So I feel like you obviously had like some Matrix influences there, right? The way the gunplay is, like the bullets. Then you have like this Morpheus like character. But then obviously you have the cyberpunk vibe to it, like cyberpunk 20 whatever, and this one's 2087. And just like the entire look to it. But then they have like that vibe where it's like he's looking at memories. And I can't remember what movie that is. Is that Minority Report where they look at memories? I think there's a couple ones like this. But it's like he's trying to solve something. And so I feel like they're like, take sci-fi and make it work. And then somehow you get to these like mutant vampire looking things. It looks cool. And if it can have a third person view and not just a first person view, it might be worth it for me. But when I first saw the trailer, I was like, what is going on here? But yeah, it looked kind of cool. It's going to really come down to movement for me and how well it plays. It does seem like it's a little bit further out. I don't think we're going to see that game for like another few years. But yeah, we'll see zombies or robots. I have no idea. I think it's just like sci-fi. And then they throw in a name like Neo Berlin. That is such like a marketing like Neo Berlin. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Is this Elise as the main character? Is that who it is? So it's 10 years after the events of Cyber. I guess. I don't know. Neo's the main character in the Matrix. There's so much. I don't know. Well, the guy's name is, you can watch it again. It's like Neo Berlin 2087. But then there's also like some, I don't know, like he's like, maybe we are the simulation. I'm like, you're a little too on the nose here. So I feel like there's some red herrings in the trailer to get us to be like, oh, it looks like that. Now, don't get me wrong. It looks super glossy. So kudos to that team. Hopefully they can land the gameplay and the mechanics. But yeah, it just, I don't know. Like they were like, what are we going to be like? And they were like, yes. like it was just like, yeah, everything on the board. Yes. And more. I feel like we saw like 20 years of sci-fi in that one trailer right there, but we'll see. feel like so, yes, that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. I feel like they're like, yeah, Bob has a great idea. Tim has a great idea. Susan has a great idea. Here's a really good idea. Let's incorporate all of them. So we'll see what happens to it. If they can pull it together, it'll be cool. But like I said, it looks super glossy. I just hope that it doesn't turn out like that game that just launched that was kind of like Cyberpunk meets GTA. It just launched recently and it did horrible. Like a lot of bugs. Former Take-Two people, it just seemed like it's not doing well. So I hope it's not like that. Hopefully it's not like that. Hopefully it's not like that. We have a couple of more things. Well, first, before we get to that one, okay, so here's one specific for some. I told you there's a little something for everyone here. But here we go. We got 3 more.
What a cold demise, Pilgrim. The Inferno bids it so. 9 dominions vast in despair, where sinners' souls are bound to eternal punishment, ruled by 9 beings sired from sin. You pilgrims, though, you evade those bindings. Your soul is branded infurious. Do you understand this gift, Pilgrim? A chance at redemption. This is your infernal pilgrimage. To face the sins incarnate is your trial, where the battle for your soul lies in the cards. But to prove you're an opponent of worth, you must brave each ruler's dominion and the dread within. Wield the cards, deploy the wards. These are your sole infernal weapons, nothing more. I've seen many pilgrims fall, but you shall fly.
So, yeah, definitely Ambi. It was for roster. That was rosters. And I just saw rosters like, be right back. We'll have to tell him that it was back there. But, yeah, deck builder. You know, rosters always trying to get people to play Monster Train. I think that's what it is. So I was like, oh, let me add like a deck builder, like this like horror element to it. But that is, yeah, it's a deck builder. Either it's different. I'll give it that. Yeah, it is. Like I think they're doing unique stuff with it. Hey, Neos, what's going on? I think they're doing like unique things with that, like putting this. I mean, you saw it had Dante's. It's inspired by Dante's Inferno. So, hey, roster, that was literally the trailer that we brought for you. So if you want to go back like 2 minutes, you'll see it. Check it out. Yeah. And so it had like, I think it's unique from that perspective. Like it's inspired by Dante's Inferno. And I don't think there's enough games, at least that I've been playing, that go back to the Divine Comedy. Right. Again, I'm a really big like geek when it comes to revitalizing IP that people have maybe left for dead. Right. So, when I see something like that, that's super exciting. Just like when I saw it said Titan Quest 2, like the fact that you're going back to like one of the OG action RPGs. I think there's tons of things that are in classical literature that people have forgotten about. But to the same way where we're like, oh, why are you remaking a game? Or why did you redo a movie? It's how I feel a lot of times with like books. Like, I think some of the best literature it's just out there and no one's reading it. You know what I mean? And so I think I've told you all this before. When it comes to classic literature, it's like, you'll see me reading that more than anything new. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some pretty good, like, mysteries out there today, but it still doesn't compare to like Agatha Christie, right? So I don't know. There's something about that whole like 19th century, 18th century literature scene that in earlier 20th century that I don't know. I just think it's cool. So hopefully we see more games that are inspired by classical works of art. All right. But came back to my browser closed. Oh no. No worries, Roster. I'll just ask me. I'll send you a link to that one. So we got 2 more. All right. So this one is, y'all know, if you know my favorite franchises, you know this is one of my favorites. And it's releasing real soon. So without further ado, if you want to know what's preloaded on the Switch right now, here it is.
This is the tale of Boris and his terrifying world. To survive, he'll need a plan and a lot of luck. Here's the rundown. First, you'll need supplies. Gears, spoons, canned soup, only the essentials. Then you must find the special items that are hidden away. Elevator parts, electrical fuses, weapons crates, perhaps even a bit of music. Search inside everything. Yes, everything. Be aware, your journey won't go unnoticed and will require a bit of skill with a frying pan. For guarding the endless halls of the studio are monsters, creatures, deadly gadgets, and slicing traps. But worst of all is the Ink Demon. Are you ready? Let the dark survival begin. Coming August 15th.
Literally tomorrow. So y'all know there has been Bendy and the Ink Machine, Bendy and the Dark Revival. I streamed both of those games, beat both of those games. I thought Bendy and the Dark Revival was like low key one of the most underrated games that came out. Like you came out, no one talked about it, but I thought it just improved the gameplay, just built out the lore of that world like a lot. And now we're gonna get Boris. Boris has been in both, so really like building out his character. I've been saying it before. I think what they've been doing with that IP is really unique, and they're being very thoughtful about it. Joey Drew Studios. What I like about Joey Drew Studios is that's the name of the studio that makes Bendy and the Ink Machine, right? They're the ones who own the IP. They're also self-published, so they are truly indie. But it's kind of weird because it's like they're also like Joey Drew Studios is also the main studio in Bendy. So it's like this weird trip. It's maybe one day I'll do like an iceberg or a deep lore dive of Bendy, but like I said, anything like that's original. We talked about like original like IP and revitalizing it. It just like that gets me excited when I can see like, okay, I see your thought process. So I'm always there going to be supporting them, and it comes out tomorrow. So it's been loaded up. I think they loaded it up last week. I've had it pre-ordered since I bought Switch 2. And yeah, so that's Bendy. I forget which one this is, but it's Bendy the Lone Wolf with Boris. So hopefully y'all give it a shot if y'all want to give it a try. All right, last trailer, and then I'll get to some news really quick. All right, here's the last one of Peaks and Tides. So that's Of Peaks and Tides. Now, if you see that, what I like about this one is the fact that you saw that. So, Rouse, you like the graphics on that. However, then I'll probably show it next week because they're gonna be showing their official Gamescom like trailer. The actual world is very different than that. So, looking forward to showcasing that. I wanted to show that because I think this game is going to really make a lot of noise when it comes out. But again, they just this kind of like little. What other game did something similar to this where they kind of show like, oh, this is kind of like in Black Myth Wukong. You know, in like Black Myth Wukong, there's like these little side chapter stories that are done in like a little cartoon vignettes in between each chapter. But then the actual gameplay is like this immersive world. They do something similar here. So don't get mistaken. If you fell in love with that art style, you can go back and watch the trailer for it. But they are really going to be upping, like they're doing a gameplay reveal at Gamescom. You can actually get a sneak peek of what that trailer looks like right now. And I'll be showing it again next week. So hopefully all is well there. All right. Hey, Crow, what's going on? Paladin. Wait. What are y'all talking about? A Paladin? Are you talking about in Diablo? Paladins in Diablo? The last thing I did want to talk about, well, there's two things, right? One is, so here's the thing. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Kojima. I don't know, man. Kojima, who like is a really big fan? Is there anybody in chat who's like a pretty big Kojima fan? It's okay if y'all are. To me, I feel like Kojima, it's kind of that person who's like really feeling himself right now. And it's like all this stuff, like, I think he does things like it's all marketing to make it seem like this dude's like super brilliant. But I'm kind of getting tired of it. Like I keep seeing all these things. So there's like this article that came out about, it's like, you know, a man who's created some of the most celebrated video games for the past 40 years, spends remarkably little time playing video games. Wishes he had more time, but on the weekends, Kojima prefers to see fine art. I don't know. A little pretentious, maybe. But it just reminds me of everything I hear about this guy, which is like, I just think he's a little weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. The Paladin class leaked. Are they doing an expansion? What? There's an expansion for Diablo? When are they showing it? I would have showed that if I knew there was a showcase for Diablo. Lower the price. Which price? Which price, Ron? I like Melchior, but I don't get him as much as Jeff Keighley. I just think it's like, I mean, obviously he did Death Stranding, which a lot of people like. I think it's a pretty world. I'm not gonna be like, it's like, I was talking to someone at work. It's a guy who it's one of the security people at work, and he's into Death Stranding right now. I don't know if I am. Like, again, I feel like Death Stranding would be better for me to watch. Like, there are some like music I like as you're going through and they play like a song, but for the most part, I don't know. Like, the gameplay loop for Death Stranding is not my thing. Like, I think it's interesting that people can leave you things. I still don't quite understand that because it's not like you can actually play with someone else, but they can leave you things in lockers. I just don't quite understand Death Stranding as much. Expansion coming for Diablo 4 in 2026. It was leaked, no official announcement yet. It just leaks from some code showing they're adding a Paladin. Oh, I'll wait for it. 2026. It's like a year away. We'll see. I agree with Crow on this, though, that I don't think they gave me an actual story. Like, it felt like the first half of a story. Now, the gameplay for the expansion was what? I played with Rouster, so he just like ran through it. But I would say the gameplay for the expansion was like 6 hours. Maybe 7. I don't know. I didn't do all like the side stuff. I thought it was cool that they opened up like a new LAN. I thought that was cool with Diablo 4. I'm still interested in that. Where they're going with Nyrel. Right. It's Nyrel, right? I didn't mess that up. Like, she's still alive, right? I'm gonna have to watch the story for that again. Nirel's still alive, I think. Destiny would make a great movie. It's not a great game for me. Yeah, see, that's how I feel about Hellblade. I feel like there's certain games, like, if you get too far into, this game is like if you get it too far into the cinematic thing, I think I question if you're a movie with gameplay mechanics. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a difference between a game with like cutscenes, and then there's a difference with a movie with gameplay cuts. You know what I mean? I'm not saying Death Stranding is that per se, but I think there's like another story there. And if all you're doing is like having me carry things from one place to another, and I get it, like there's these ghosts and I have to like maneuver around them. I have to figure out like the shortest route. And so there is like kind of this very old school gameplay mechanic, which is like, what is the, like, how do I get this thing over here? And there's like all these little things in between that I have to go through. Like, I'm talking like a very old school, like top down type of game. So I understand that. Like, I get that. And you now put a story and you put like some really pretty cinematics around it. Some really great visuals, some really like chill music to it, and like a story that I don't fully get. But with that said, I don't know. I still think Kojima's like a little, it's all branding. It's like Kojima, similar to how I think Kojima's trying to be like, who's the guy? Quentin Tarantino, right? Quentin Tarantino doesn't like, it's not like, oh, that's Quentin Tarantino. You know what I mean? But I feel like there's these direct, M. Night Shyamalan is like this, right? Like, they have these personalities that like supersede like their movies, and I feel like Kojima's trying to build that where it's like, oh, that's Kojima's game. And I don't know if he's earned that from me. I'm just saying like that. I don't think he's earned it from me. Like, I think if you talk to me about M. Night Shyamalan, I could tell you the movies he made, right? If you talk to me about like Christopher Nolan, I know his movies, right? If you talk to me like Quentin Tarantino, like there are certain directors, Steven Spielberg, like they have like hit after hit after hit. You know what I mean? Like their movies have defined cinema. I don't think Kojima's games have defined gaming. And maybe if you like Kojima, like push back. But I don't know, man. I'm just like, okay, I get it. Sega games have easy mechanics. They're the same games. That's it. Went on sale within a month. Maybe. Really? I didn't know that. Oh, that stinks. That stinks. All right, the last piece of news, and then I'll drop a link in case y'all want to come on. Like I said, I could probably talk more news. I will, if no one comes on, I will talk about like my opinions on the Kill No Games. Like I said at the top of the show, I don't think I fully given that opinion. But after Neos, who was in chat earlier, brought that up as a defense. I think Crow brought up The Crew. I was able to like form my own opinion, so I will try to articulate that here in a second. But y'all know I am really upset with this. I'm not upset with it, but here you all. Now, I'm not so sure what to take of this. Like Sean Layden expressed this disdain for subscription models, particularly Game Pass. I don't know how much to take with this, right? You were on the competitor's console. You had your own subscription service. I think there is some truth to this, though. This isn't the first time we've heard a gaming exec speak out on Game Pass. But at the same time, this is my thing. Like, as much as I dislike Microsoft, nothing against Xbox, but dislike Microsoft, like they're going to leverage their competitive advantages, right? And so I'm not necessarily certain that, like, if it's working for them and they have the power to do it, and like they see some investment in it, okay, then beat them on their own merits. I think I last week talked about Game Pass versus Roblox. I think the window has closed on that actual battle. Like those are two different distribution models, but we'll see. We'll see if he's proven right. But at the same time, I'm not going to be like, they can't do that. Like, you know what I mean? Time will tell if it was a good thing or a bad thing. M. Night Shyamalan. What? You don't like him, Ron? Hey, Marcus. Gaming has not yet ever found its Hitchcock yet. Ooh, another one. Alfred Hitchcock. That's another good one. Francis like Coppola. Like movies have, cinema just has so many that you're kind of like, I don't know. You would think that we would have by now, or maybe it's just because there takes so many people. Well, actually, there's the guy from Nintendo, right? He's pretty solid, but it's like he's locked up in Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like he's like kind of, I would put on that level for what he's done for gaming in the IP he's created. But again, I'm not saying it has to be one. Right? I'm not saying it's like only has to be one game developer or whatever. But if you're going to say he's made some of the most iconic titles and blah, 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 like, okay, what did he do? Okay, he did like Death Stranding and then he did Metal Gear, right? I'll be the first to say I haven't played Metal Gear or any of those. And then I will come back and I'll say like I played Death Stranding for like 6 hours and then I stopped playing Death Stranding. And I got it for free too. You know what I mean? Epic gave Death Stranding out for free. I think I even got it on PlayStation through something. I was like, let me play this. And I don't know. There's still like the little sound effects I remember. Like the little, like when someone calls you, it makes a little sound effect. But I don't know. Maybe I should go back. I don't know. Today's roll is Polonium 210 over and out. What is he talking? I don't know. Marcus, you always drop these things. I'm like, what? What is he saying? I should cancel my camp here because Sean Layden says so. I don't think he said to cancel it, Ron. I don't think he said he canceled it. I just think he said he doesn't like it. But that's okay. Like, there's other people who do like it. Like, right? I think I'm on the side of, I think if it allows people to play games they wouldn't have played, it's cool. I also at the same time believe that subscription models in media are really hard to pull off. And eventually it loses its quality. Like I could say that about Netflix. I think over the long term, Netflix is probably the one who's done it the best. And it's kind of not as solid, you know. And I think video games, I don't know. We'll see. I could probably make an argument that Game Pass has been kind of lackluster if you buy it for the whole year. But if you only buy it for like a month to play the game you want, then obviously you're winning to a degree. So we'll see. We'll see how that one plays out. But with that said, I do want to talk about my opinion on the Don't Kill Games movement. Again, like I've probably been a little bit more, it's probably not something like I had a ton of passion, but after Reaver talked about Clippy in Discord, I was like, okay, let me go into this. So I think overall, the situation with the crew is I think other companies have done something similar for sure. But if you have a single player mode in your game and then you take it offline because of however you built it, I think you do owe it to the player base to come up with a solution. That's what I'm just going to say. Now, I can understand multiplayer. Like if multiplayer is the concept and it's a game that's always been multiplayer, I'm a little bit more lenient on that. I think it's still annoying. Don't get me wrong. Like a game that's like this is Outriders. Now, I don't know if this is like Outriders if you've never played it online, but if you ever played it offline and then you try to play it again, well, if you've ever played it online and then you try to play it offline, it's very difficult. Like they're always asking you for some form of multiplayer or subscription or something. So like that one, I think is like kind of in the middle, but for sure the crew situation, I think needs to be rectified. I'm also going to say, I don't think all game companies are like this, right? I think there is like some who probably are leaning more into it than others, but I'm not going to say like this is a blanket thing. At the same time, I feel like if there's like smaller developers, smaller publishers, and it's a multiplayer game, like a great example of this would be, what is that game? 33 Immortals. All right. So Thunderful, isn't it Thunderful Games who does 33 Immortals? I want to say it is. They're a small team. You know what I mean? Do I think 33 Immortals is going to be like an immortal game? No. Like, I just don't. I think it is fun for what it is, but I don't think it's going to be around forever, you know? And if they were to take it offline, I think that would suck. I also think that it's up to consumers also to understand some things like could go away. You know, like 33 Immortals is a great example. Game we're playing right now, Orcs Must Die, Death Trap, right? There is not really, like, there is a way to play Orcs Must Die, Death Trap on single player. So I would hate to see for it to go, but it is mostly like a multiplayer type of experience from what I can see. But again, I think if someone is going to take something off, they need to make it somehow, like make it a patch to where people can download the game and still play it. Diablo 4 on Switches, or Diablo 3 on Switches like this, like you can't get on it multiplayer. Like their multiplayer doesn't work, but I can still do the campaign, right? I haven't checked if I can actually bring someone else who has a Switch on. I don't think I can. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. And I think there is some very good, what's the word I'm looking for? I think there's some very good intentions from people who are like, hey, I pay for, like, there is like a consumer harm there. Like they pay for something and someone's taken away. I also think there's some abuses there from like the consumer advocate side who are throwing in a lot of more blanket stuff that I don't think is helpful to the conversation, because I do think there's like this like push and pull. But that's how I overall feel about that thing. Better late than never. What is going on, Obi Rose? What's going on? 33 Motors was fun. Or so was always, so I would need a big patch for sure. I can't for is it really? See, that's the thing. Like, and if that's the case, right? If you've made a game that has to be always on, well, what was your exit strategy? Like, were you going to have this like in perpetuity? You know, and maybe they do. Maybe they have a way to make it, right? Maybe it's like a peer-to-peer network, as you've said before, Rouster. But the crew, I think, is like kind of in a different, like it had a single player campaign. And now to me, that's an easier patch. You know what I mean? Like it always has to be online. I don't know about that. I think there are, and potentially it's like, hey, this game company is only so large, right? Like maybe it's like the size of the company, or maybe it's you letting consumers know like, hey, this game does have like, will go offline at some time. Or maybe you give people credits for especially if you're like, the crew's an interesting one because they came out with the crew 2. So maybe the answer is like you give people credit. Like if they had the crew 1, you give them some credits for the crew 2. Like I said, I think there's a lot of like middle ground that can be done. And I think it should, but I also feel that utilizing the Don't Kill Games movement for other positions, like I can also see where there's a lot of discourse where it's like, okay, you're saying one thing and it sounds really cool, but you actually are trying to enforce something else. And that's where I kind of am like, I draw the line. Hey, Rudix, what's going on? It's peer-to-peer for the connections between people, but servers facilitate the connections. So there you go. So if it is that, like, I think, I don't know, I think it's probably incumbent on the publisher then to say, like, hey, like, obviously the developer, they're going to build the game, but it's incumbent on the publisher to then say, like, hey, this game could, you could lose your progress in this game. I think that's, if you let consumers know that up front, then that's one thing. And to me, there's certain games that I just know, 33 Immortals. I look at that game and I'm like, how is this game going to compete as like a forever game? You know what I mean? Like, there's a point where I just don't see it. Now, I think I have fun with 33 Immortals, but I also feel that there's so many other live service games that are coming out with like amazing content. And I'm not saying 33 Immortals is going to go away, by the way. I'm just using it as an example. But that is like one where I think it's like incumbent on the consumer to also kind of understand what they are paying for and what they're not paying for. Can't complain much. That's awesome, Rudix. That's awesome. But no, I was just giving my opinion on the Don't Kill Games movement. Like, obviously, and then you have people like Reaver who put Clippy. I think he talked about Clippy, but he was talking about it in the terms of like age verification, which I don't think is like, I think that's a separate cause. And that's a great example. Not, shout out to Reaver. And if you haven't seen that video, we uploaded it in the Discord because we have Reaver there. We show all of his posts when they go live. And that's a great example. It's like, okay, the whole Clippy movement is about the Don't Kill Games movement, but it's now taking on this whole thing on like, don't have our data, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And I think there's potential to conflate a lot of issues that I don't think is helpful to the conversation. That's me. Are all games business on Forevermore, or do they plan on ways of activities? I don't know. I don't know. I can't speak for all games. I think if you have a live service game, the idea is, if it's a live service game, then what is their exit strategy? Is it meant to be in perpetuity? Right? Probably not. Or maybe it's like, hey, after so many years, once we've made whatever their goals were, and maybe that's the thing. Like, once they hit their strategic goals, maybe it's developing an IP, maybe it's funding something for a bigger part 2, maybe it's, hey, we're going to try to keep it going until we can no longer keep it going. I don't know what it is. But like I said, I think it is incumbent on both the consumer and the publisher to either A, dig a little deeper, or B, they need to let people know, like, hey, you don't fully, like, we can take this away. Now, when we talk about things like, oh, I don't kill games, and then we're going to conflate that with the idea that Nintendo can brick your system, I think those are totally different. Those are totally different topics to me. And that's kind of the nuance is what I think is missing from a lot of these conversations. And when you don't have nuance, you then have generalizations. And when you have generalizations, you now are potentially a vehicle for like alternative, like you're pushing for alternative things that may not be healthy to the overall conversation. That's how I feel. Bye-bye Roblox. I don't think it's going, Ron. I don't think it's going. I think being sued does not mean bye-bye. I do think being sued does mean like you need to look into this. And when you're, I don't know, what is Roblox? I told you, I think Roblox is the number one gaming company to beat right now. And same thing happened to Facebook. Same thing happened to Google. Same thing happened to Twitter at one time. Like all those companies have all had the same issue. And they're gonna figure it out. Like, right, there was a reason why Twitter had the trust and safety team they had in place. There's a reason why Facebook had that. There's a reason why Instagram had that. There's a reason why Google has like Google for kids and Google for adults. There's a reason why. And so as long as they can put the right protocols in place, and I don't think it's a hard thing, right? I think there's a lot of places they can start with that one. But as they've been growing so fast, like, unfortunately, we live in a world where it's like, hey, we're going to try to get as much fast as possible, and then we'll worry about all the regulation type of stuff. And when you see like 111 million daily users, like that was the win. Like, I hate to say it like that, but I think Roblox has more daily users than Netflix. That's crazy. Hey, Audi. Steam lets you know that up front. Yeah, I think it's up on the publisher, right? I think it's up on the publisher to do that. I think Steam also is a digital library. Like, but that wasn't always the case. Neos, I think you bring up a perfect example. That wasn't always the case. Like, I remember a time, I think I was talking to Granite about this. Like, if we went back 20, 22 years ago, Steam was like the devil. Like, right? Gabe Newell was not. Like, it was not the Steam of today. I think Wit and I were talking about this. Steam has had probably the most like legal action against it over the last 2 decades out of any gaming company. And that's been for the better. And so now we get to a point where it's like, it's really interesting for me to see this, because when I left gaming, literally in like 2003, I left it earlier than that. But when I left, like, Steam was like, people hated Steam. PC gamers hated Steam. It was the bad guy. And then when I come back, and that was really interesting, where people were like, oh, I want to play on my Steam library. And I was like, you're what? You know, and now you have Steam, which is now seen as kind of like this consumer friendly brand. But in reality, they had so many things that was anti-consumer that I cannot think of another company that has been under the microscope more than Steam. I heard my life is live service. I doubt it, Ron. We did have a comment. Was that you? I think I also had it with, I think I had that also with Granite or Crow. I forget. One of them wrote something on one. It was on that Microsoft video that I did, where I was like, is Xbox the new evil? What, I had some random clickbait title like that. And it was one of them. They also commented in that video. Like, I remember when Steam was this, and that's what I remember. Like Steam was, I don't know when it happened, by the way. Like, I have no idea when it happened, but there's a point to where Steam went from like, they're killing gaming to, oh, Steam, like, let's hold up Steam as like the model. Like, I don't know when that happened. And maybe it's not, right? Maybe there's still some pockets who are like, no, Steam's super, they still need to be criticized. But if some people are feeling like they're good now, then that's a good thing, no? And now Steam is seen as the consumer champion. I think it's crazy, Wit. I think it's so crazy. Like, yeah, like you're talking about monopolistic power. Like, there's a lot of things with Steam. When it first came, people didn't like it. It was all about it. You were all about it. I think, like, I don't think I was fully gaming back then. I remember there was like this movement because before, so I'll say it like this. I think Steam did answer a consumer problem, right? Which was, in order to get a PC game, I either had to order it, you know what I mean? Like I had to like literally order the game like through the mail, or I had to go to the computer section of I had to go to like the software section of like an Office Max or Office Depot. I was about to say like Kmart or Walmart, but I can't remember PC games being there. They could have, but I can't remember that. Like I'm trying to think back because like what was I? Well, I was playing Age of Empires, so I'm trying to think back. Where did I buy Age of Empires? And I bought Age of Empires originally from Office Depot. And that's like where you had like, that's where you got PC games. And so it was a very interesting model because, and that's why maybe that's what still kind of like clouds my judgment about PC and console when people are like, oh, everybody's going to go to PC or console are dead, is just because to me, these are still very different consumer markets. There's some overlap, 100%. But I still think like core PC gamers are a different consumer than core console gamers. Like just at their core. But again, that could be my own anchoring on like a previous world. But when I also think about like the games that dominate in PC, or not dominate, or that are more prevalent on PC, I'm gonna have to do more research on that. Like I don't really look into PC as much anymore. But that's proof that brands can change if they are willing to. I don't know if they were willing to. I feel like I still think Steam does stuff. I just think it's overshadowed. So, there's just something else recently about Steam. And so they were forced to, by the way. Like, this isn't like Steam was, oh, I guess we're going to change it. Like, this is through like court action they were forced to, right? So the idea that, but I think you're right. But I think what you're providing evidence to is that there are mechanisms to have corporations behave well. I think that's what you're alluding to, which I agree. I like that I could have access to install my games from anywhere I could get internet. Yeah, I think that was the change. Like, so I agree that the distribution model needed to change. And so for that, they answered something like they figured it out. So hats off to them. I think when we talk about the move from physical to digital and some of the harms that comes about, these are arguments that have been played out since Steam's existence. But like we took that poll, right? And no one in chat said they cared about physical. I think I was the only one. And it's only because I like collector's editions. And so as long as I still have that, then I'm good, you know? From Electrics, Boutiques, and later GameStop. Yeah, I think you're right. It's a weird distribution model. To be honest, I don't want most console gamers on PC. Oh, Neos. I use Steam only because it's more convenient, but say if COG had every game that I wanted to play, then I would switch to COG in a heartbeat. Aldi, is it because of the launcher? Why? I'm just curious. Why? I mean, COG does have the deal with Luna or Amazon Gaming. So I thought that was a cool pickup for them. I don't really game enough on PC to have an opinion. I know every once in a while on Twitch it'll say like get this game for free, and so I'll click it, but I don't play it. You know what I mean? So, but I'm sure I think I have like 40 games between like COG and Epic. I don't think I have anything like Steam. I play because of GFN. But then I just found it was an inconvenience for me to play like that. So I like physical when it's cheaper than digital. Isn't that like how it is for Zalic? Hey, Zalic, just speak of the devil. I think Zalek said it is cheaper physical than digital. I think that's a lot of places like that. That especially outside the US, that you can get the physical cheaper. I think there's benefits to it. Like I said, I don't care how you like. I know how I get it. Like these are not issues for me, so it's almost like I don't know. But I can see why people would have it. There's one use case where I actually felt for these people. So I think I told y'all this story, right? Like it was maybe the week before or 2 weeks before the Switch 2 launched. And I just randomly went to GameStop to ensure that I still had my pre-order in place, right? And when I was in there, there's two guys in front of me, and they were Hasidic Jews, like so really like traditional Hasidic Jews. And there's a lot in my area, and they were trying to figure out because one of them had a son who was he liked racing games. And he was autistic. And so like they were trying to explain this to the guy at GameStop. And they were asking for the game that allowed them to play where the kid didn't have to go on the internet. Because for some reason, like, you cannot go on the internet. But he could play video games. And they did not like, but he liked racing games, but he wanted a racing game where he could go off-road. And so, like, the GameStop guy who was strange and like actually knew about games. I think that's the weirdest things. Like, so many GameStop people I feel like don't know anything about games, but this one actually did. And they were just trying to figure out, like, on the PlayStation 5, which game he could get that he didn't have to download. And so they're like, do you have physical? It was like the only use case I've ever seen where I was like, oh man, like this is actually, this isn't like random people on the internet being like, don't kill physical because I don't buy physical and I want something to argue. Like these people were literally like, we don't care about graphics. We just want a game that we don't have to connect to the internet for him to play. And they kind of went through everything. They didn't want to buy a new console. So like, it was actually probably one of the most humbling experiences I had, really, of recent. Alan Wake 2 is exclusive to Epic is stupid. I didn't even know that. But I mean, if Epic paid for it, that's Tim Sweeney, right? Like, I'm not gonna say. I think like those are the transactions they make. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say Epic is wrong. And who makes Alan Wake 2? I forget. It's the people who make it's Sam, whatever his name is, right? Like if they want, if Epic's like, yo, we're gonna pay you a lot. This other dude's like, okay, I'm gonna help you and we're gonna put it exclusive there, then so be it. But it's like the Ubisoft problem, right? Didn't Ubisoft like only go to Epic? So if they want to make those business decisions and they don't pan out, that's they're free to do that. For me, I remember being upset the Orange Box forced me to use Steam, even though you could install off the disc. Now I'm fairly media agnostic. Oh, you have Cliffy too, Granite. You put Cliffy there. We were just talking about the Cliffy thing. That's my son, exactly. Toxic. And yeah, he wanted an off-road one. For some reason, that had to be key to this. What they wanted was an off-road game that he could play offline. And so I was like, oh man, they should like, they got the Switch too, you know, because that has Mario Kart. But I don't think I think the solution they came down to was one of the guys was going to get one of his workers to download the game to the PlayStation. I forget which one, but it was one that only had a digital release. And then they were going to show the kid the game during his birthday, like, and surprise him. But it was like, yeah, they were like, we cannot touch the internet. It was really interesting. is my Ghost of Yoti example is $25 to $30. Yeah, I remember that. You showed us to us as EB Games screwed me over on my. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hey, Mystic Fragment, Starblow, you wanna challenge us again? We actually are challenging y'all. Another channel decided to challenge us. Or I don't know if they decided to challenge us, but one of John Scar's. We have several people from John Scar's community. Granite, Rouster, several people are from that, originated from there. And there's another channel that we're going to do like some Mario Kart. I don't think it's like channel versus channel. I just think it's going to be, they're going to have like 2 content creators and it's just going to be like a big mashup of racers. So that's on Sunday. I could see the advantage of Cottage Country game users to be able to use physical to Cottage Country. Yeah. I mean, they only live like 10 minutes away. I don't know if it's Cottage Country. I think they're, it's just their belief system. And so at the end of the day, like I respect that, like they are doing that. Now, I think they break their own rules in other aspects and they try to pretend that they're 100%, which is fine. It's their belief system. But in this one, they were holding firm. Remedy makes Alan Wake, but they also made Firebreak. So they are in the doghouse. Was Firebreak the one that's like black and white, like black stick figures? Is that Firebreak? Which one am I thinking about? It's like these stick figures and they were shooting. I saw that game and I was like, who would buy this game? Is your son a Clippy follower? No, Purple. Ubisoft tried what Epic did and it did not work. So to the point they had. Yeah, who did I say? I thought I said Ubisoft tried. I thought I said Ubisoft tried to make their games exclusive to Epic. Had to put their games back on Steam. That's what I thought I said. I thought they tried. They tried to make a deal with Epic. And I just know this because like X Defiant, that was the news in X Defiant. It was like, they need to put this on Steam. But that's my point. Like if they want to make a business decision and it's companies make dumb decisions. Like I'm okay. Like I don't think it's against the law to make dumb decisions. But he said he likes, he's playing Mario Kart 8 now. We should put together a yearly tournament. Let me know when. Yeah, we made it clear we couldn't cheat on Purple on Mario Kart night. What do you mean, Granite? Do you think Nintendo would make a Nintendo Switch 2 Lite? And yeah, of course. 100%. It worked for them. Like, for one, you have gamers like Robolica, right? Which... amazing Mario Kart Deluxe player, but she makes a point. The controller's not the most comfortable to her. So a Switch Lite would work perfect for her. I don't know. Granite can correct me. Robolica can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think there are gamers who like, I don't have the Switch down here with me. I don't think I do. I think there are gamers here who are that it makes sense to make a smaller version. I'm not upset with that. I think if there's a market for something and someone's able to address that market, go for it. But I do think, but wouldn't you be able to tell me, Audi, you work at Nintendo, don't you? Firebreak was the control PvE co-op shooter. It has 11 people play on Steam in the first 24 hours. Then I don't know what it is. What am I thinking of? There's this game where it's like black, white, and red. It's like a black background, and these people are shooting. I don't know, stupid. That's all I know. That's all I can tell you. I was just like, why? I don't get it. Like, why? Who invested in this? Like, I don't get it. No, not Epic. Their own. They do have their own app. So they have their own app. You're right. But they did try to put an exclusive clause with Epic. But you understand why they did that, right? Like, so this is an interesting concept. The reason they did that, and this shows like, we just talked about Steam. This shows Steam's monopoly they have, which is they're trying to create their own launcher for their own games because they don't want to like cut any profit with Steam. That's why they did it. You know what I mean? So I'm not upset with saying like, yo, that's the wrong way to like, I'm mad at you for doing that. I'm going to say that I think that speaks to Steam's power, that in order, if you want to reach a PC crowd, you have to give Steam a cut. That is literally like a monopoly. That no matter what, that if I want to be in we have switched essentially the Microsoft Microsoft from being like the gatekeeper to like programs on PC to Steam. That's it. Another one. I'm not sure what like competition would look like. Like, will we have lower prices? I mean, Audi says like he would buy things on COG. Hey, Chariot Man, what's going on? So I have Gorilla Hands, so I need bigger Switch. So there you go. There you go, Rudix. I was summoned. Oh, Ravalik, I was just saying about your Switch. Would you buy? Would a Switch Lite? Would a Switch Lite work for you? That's all. I'm just asking that. Like, Audi asked, like, do I think that a Switch Lite and a Switch, whatever the other one, Switch OLED is coming? And I said, yeah, because I feel like there's gamers that want to play in handheld, but the Switch 2 isn't comfortable enough. So, I used you as a potential example, but I didn't want to fully say that. Hey, Audi, purple supporter. Woo, woo. I like Audi's little icon there. Variety of PC launchers, right? There's also Xbox PC, Epic launcher. I do know about Xbox PC, but that's the thing. Like, they're all scrambling, right? But that's why essentially Microsoft is pushing so hard. It's really interesting because like Epic has sued Apple and Google, different things, by the way, different things. Those two trials, which in Epic is essentially saying that they don't want to pay the fee on mobile, right? Which I think is really interesting. Because in those cases, you can't have any other like store. You could sideload on Chrome on Android, but it's hard. Like Apple, you just can't. And so that's why they're suing to like break up that. But at the same time, if I look at like Steam, like, yes, you can have other storefronts on PC. But now it's like the de facto store, like, oh, you can't have an exclusive store. It has to go to Steam. Like, to me, it's like almost they're similar. I'm not gonna say they're the same, but they are definitely similar in their market power. But I don't think people look at Steam like Neos was like, oh, like Steam is like consumer friendly, and it's like, yeah, they're monopoly. PlayStation has a PC enabled app as well, of course. Rudix with the PC, with the PlayStation news. Steam has a monopoly, but how could you break it up? It's not like they stop other companies from having launchers. Consumers have less is best launcher preference. I think you're right, Granite. I don't think you could. I think that's the thing with digital storefronts. And this is essentially what the Department of Justice has argued in the Google Chrome case. I know there's like a lot of like antitrust cases right now. But you're right. Consumers have like how could you change that? I don't know. Right? Consumers have a preference for Steam. But we could definitely make an argument that had Steam not acted in a way that was a monopolist, right? That they wouldn't have the dominant market position they have today. But now they're so far ahead, at least in the PC gaming space, that who can challenge them. But, and this is my thing on like with Ron Slusher and Cowboy, different things, but they mentioned Roblox, and I'm gonna probably post this video. But I would say like Roblox is almost like the counter to Steam in a way. Because of the creator economy that Roblox has. And so I don't know, maybe that's it. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm not saying I have an answer. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. For other industries and other markets, we would say having one store where you have to put your game on in order to reach customers, if like on its face, that's what we're saying Steam is. If Epic can't if a company cannot make a deal with Epic and the game not be successful, or if a company can't have their own storefront and it can't be successful, then you would say like they're that good. But that's also the argument that we're saying in the mobile markets, right? This is essentially almost the argument in so many ways, like they're targeting Amazon on. So it's an interesting paradigm. We have a Switch Lite. It's a lot easier to hold for me, but there's no video out, so I'd rather get a kid-sized Pro controller. So you have a Switch Lite, so you have video out. Yeah, so I think Robolica would maybe a Switch Lite 2, maybe, if it can fix the video out issue. I don't know. I would say Steam it's just a better service. I don't know. See, Neos, that's the thing. If you look at what would you say Chrome is a monopoly? Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying hypothetical. Like, I am saying like there are other cases right now where we would like Google in the next 2 weeks is going to be told whether or not it has to divest Google Chrome. This is why? Because they have sued and the courts have upheld that Google owns a monopoly on the internet. Whether or not you want to agree with me or not, go look it up. Like just look up Google Chrome in the news right now, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Google didn't buy Chrome, Google built Chrome. But because they have a market share and I'm not talking about search, I'm talking about literally Google Chrome. But because of that, because they have like 90% of the internet traffic is on Google Chrome, we say that's a monopoly. Now, there's a lot of other things like the data and so forth and so on. But I would almost contend that Steam has a larger market than 90% of PC gamers. And if I cannot be successful creating my own storefront, and I cannot be successful with putting my stuff on a storefront outside of Steam, that means no matter what, in order for me to be successful in the PC market, Steam has to get a cut of it. This isn't from a consumer side, but if you're a game developer, and I was to tell you, like, no matter what, Steam is going to get their cut, in order for you to be successful, you're kind of close to monopoly power right there. Because now Steam can dictate the terms of your market between you and the consumer. Steam's value is at your PC library. If Itch2O made an app, I think I could potentially disrupt Steam because it's just my opinion so much better. Maybe, like I said, I think the disruption is with something like Roblox. I think the creator economy, just like this content, YouTube, right? I think that is what's going to ultimately disrupt Steam's economy. I'm not saying Steam's going to go out of business. I'm not saying that. I don't think they're going to have like this Black Swan event. I think that they will have to like this like game. These markets within a game are kind of like the threat to them. But I don't like they're so far ahead. I I don't even think they even care. Steam's value is that your PC is all in one place, not spread out over 10 launchers. It's simpler in a way. It is, Zalik. It is from a consumer, but I'm talking like it's two sides of the coin, right? It's two sides of the there's monopoly power isn't just for you as a consumer. It makes it easier. Like I said, go look at the Chrome case. Google Chrome, like people would say, well, Google Chrome is a lot better internet provider or whatever, internet gateway. Let's use that term. Some people would say no. I'm not here to debate the merits of Google Chrome versus DuckDuckGo or Perplexity or whatever the hell you want to use. But right now, right before the court is that this exact same thing. Is that Google Chrome, you have to go through that. Like users have to go through Google Chrome in order for you to get your product out there on the internet, you have to use Google. And they've abused that power. Now, whether or not Steam is going to have an antitrust lawsuit, I don't know. But when I look at it, I would say, like, why are you saying it for this one versus not this one? Which most people would say, well, yeah, I have to use Steam. NVIDIA is a monopoly. You're going to have to define that one. Definition, I would say no, Chrome is not monopoly. That's not to say that they don't do monopolistic practices, but they do allow other search engine. I agree, Audi. I agree. This isn't purple, right? If Audi wants to become I forget what district court that is. If you want to become a judge to or a lawyer to fight, go ahead. But if you look at the actual case right now, Google is on the table right now. Potentially, Google Chrome will no longer be Google. There is a chance. I'm not saying there's a great chance, but that is actually one of the remedies the judge is talking about right now, or the prosecution is talking about to fix this harm to the market. Just got him from work. Nice. Because Chrome does well, it isn't a monopoly. Edge still exists. They just need to make it better to compete. I'm not debating you on, like, do I think it is or do I think it's not? What I am saying is, like, again, that is the court case. If y'all did not know that these court cases are going on, please go look it up. Because they're actually quite interesting what's happening in the antitrust world. And like I said, right now, Google is they're facing a couple of different antitrust cases. But this one particularly is involving Chrome. Bro, look it up. NVIDIA being Neil's just explain it to me. Like I know who NVIDIA is, but I want you to explain it to me. Like I said, same way I explain like Chrome, right? The way I compare, or if you want to come on, you can. There's the click there. Whoever wants to come on. I'm not debating it, right? What I would say is NVIDIA in order for me to say NVIDIA has a monopoly, what's the market, right? Like Steam, I could say, is a monopoly for PC games. That's the market, PC games. And who is this harming the most? I could say publishers and developers, right? But there's a beneficial side to it, which is consumers. So when you have to judge, like, what is the remedy to a harm in the market, you have to weigh that out. Like, is this beneficial to one party? And if we break this up, is it no longer beneficial to that? Do we make it worse? Do we make it better? It's actually like I said, there's a lot of parallels to what's going on. Not saying the same. Parallels, though, with what's going on with Google Chrome right now, which is they're good, but did they take anti-consumer practices or anti-business practices to get to the position? And I think that's like the key point with Steam. Like we talked about it before, Steam has faced quite a bit of scrutiny in the past. And if all you did was like behavioral changes, but they're still at like 98%, 95%, whatever their market share is, then you have to ask, like, was that good enough? Now, to Zalek's point, you would say, hey, this is better for consumers. Our library is all in one place. Potentially. But could something else have come about? You know what I mean? Maybe there would have been something else where you can connect all your libraries together. Maybe that already exists. I don't know. Like I said, I don't game on PC. But anytime you have a product that commands such an attention, and this is the key here. Can a PC game succeed? And I think like the counterpoint would be Fortnite, right? I don't know if Fortnite's on Steam or not. But can a PC game succeed without being on Steam? That's like kind of the proof point. And do you always have to give your cut of whatever it is you made? Let's say you want to self-publish. So like, let's think about books. If I wrote a book and the only way I could make money is I had to go through like Scholastic or Penguin or something like that, then they have a monopoly on that, right? If I could not self-publish a book and then reap all of the profit, that would be a problem. That's actually another antitrust case that wasn't going on too long ago. So I think that's how I look. It's not from the consumer side, it's from the other side. From a legal, Denmark for bundling IE with Windows, that's the same with Chrome on Android. Yes, and no. Right? I think what Microsoft got is that they weren't allowing you to bundle something else. It's a little bit the same. But it's a little bit different. Because what they're arguing is like Google learned from Microsoft that if you do it this way, right? And what Google did is they signed contracts with the hardware manufacturers to have Chrome as the default option. That's not what Windows did, right? And so, but that was a practice that was learned. Now what they're arguing is like, hey, that in itself is antitrust. And so that's where they won the case. This isn't like, well, like I think this is the case. They won, the prosecution won. And so now it's about like, what's the remedy? But let's see what Wit says. She's a resident lawyer. From a legal government, they're also asking about contracts or policies companies have made that have given them an undue advantage in the market. Yes, that's actually what the crux of it is, right? There comes a point when consumers may have a choice on the surface, but because happenings behind the scene, that's not always the case. I think this is what I would say with Steam. I think it's very parallel. I don't know. Roblox is being sued too, but it's for something more sinister. But this is what I said before, Sarablo. Anytime you do, I have a hard time. Like, when you follow media, there's always things about how are you protecting kids? YouTube got to this is why you have YouTube Kids. Like, we did not have YouTube Kids 10 years ago. You know what I mean? But they had to put things in place because of that. Twitter, same deal. There's a reason why there was a trust and safety team at Twitter before Elon Musk fired them. And there's a very good chance that if there's a new administration that comes in, Elon Musk or Twitter will find itself in a very tough spot. There's an argument about ByteDance. There's an argument to be made like, oh, it's like, how are you protecting kids? But we are in a world where I think there's a couple of different things. I think parents need to be aware, right? I think there's a lot of that going on that it's like impossible to be aware what your kids are watching. Maybe. But I also think there's a point to where once you're so big as a company, and Roblox, I think market capitalization is over 100 billion now, that people come after you. Not saying that's a wrong, and I think that they should do protections to protect kids. I also think that how do you do that? Right? If we now have gamers that are saying you can't do age verification, right? And this is the thing. You now have people who are like, oh, you can't do this. Then how can you verify if someone's of age or underage or not? This is like kind of thing I was talking about at the top of like maybe a few minutes ago, which was I agree on the surface with a lot of principles, but I don't agree in generalities. I think there's nuance. In the case of Google, the government is looking at it from the perspective of advertisers, not users, browser. That's correct, Whit. That's what I said. Let's see CUDA, their AI ecosystem. CODA. So you're saying you're still talking about NVIDIA? Potentially. I mean, what are you saying? They're chips? If you're saying they're chips, like, yeah, but I think everybody else, if you're saying they're chips, you may not be saying they're chips. But if you're saying they're chips, like all the other companies have already started to produce their own chips to become less reliant on NVIDIA. It's just that it takes time to develop that. So I totally believe that in the next 2 years, you're going to see AI chips coming from Facebook, like going to market from Facebook, from Google, from Microsoft, if that's what you're talking about. COG, Ubisoft, Stadia, and Luna have shown you can mix storefronts and licenses to play. Have shown you can mix storefronts and licenses to play on different services. Let me see that. You said that. COG, Ubisoft, and have shown you can mix storefronts. How did Stadia show that? How did Stadia show that? Because Stadia failed, right? Luna, I think. Let me see how you're saying. They're saying, but are they successful? I never can tell what Ubisoft. I can never tell what Ubisoft. COG, I guess. COG, however you pronounce it. But I would also say again, like Internet Explorer still being around, or whatever that Microsoft thing is, like Safari still being around, Firefox still being around. That would say you can have another internet browser. You can have another internet out there, right? DuckDuckGo, right? You can have something else out there. But it's not about can something survive? It's do you have to go through a single source? And that's the thing. Monopoly doesn't mean you own the entire board. Monopoly means you have such market power that you can dictate the board, right? I would say Steam has that. I 100% would say Steam has that. Be right back. Gotcha, Zalek. And they're very dominant in the software ecosystem, and others don't want to compete. And it sucks for a lot of PC gamers out there because NVIDIA shouldn't be their only source of GPUs. But Neos, you have an AMD. Do you not have an AMD? I think NVIDIA is actually like moving out of the gaming. Their gaming hardware space isn't like, if you listen to them, they're not focused on gaming. Like, if you want to go outside of NVIDIA, you can. I would say NVIDIA probably has it, but I wouldn't say in GPUs. It's like, maybe? I don't know. I wouldn't say it's in I think they're really popular in GPUs, but I think there's definitely other ways to get around it. And I would also say that, like, from whose perspective? If you're saying the market is GPUs and they have a monopoly power on GPUs, you're going to have to explain that one to me. Like, again, I think that these terms get thrown out a lot. Like, people will be like, what exactly is a monopoly? Right? And like I said, a monopoly is when you have such a power that essentially there's a stakeholder who has no other choice but to go through you. And I would say, like, that's why I went to, like, AI chips, because like they have a pretty legit head start in that area. But again, then I look at like everybody else is developing. That's why I kind of backed off. But when it comes to GPUs, I don't know. You're gonna have to explain. You're gonna have to like. I'm gonna have to look it up. I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm not gonna say you're wrong because it's not. But from the market definition doesn't make sense to me. But they did it in search a way that I can't see. No, not chips. AMD are ahead in chips, actually. I think both are on the same level. All right, so then I'm going to have to see what you're talking about, Neos. Success is not a different debate, but it is a method. I can play my Stadia purchase on Ubisoft Launcher in Luna. I can play my Stadia purchases on Ubisoft in Luna. You can play your current Stadia purchases on Ubisoft and Luna. But you're saying you can play your current Ubisoft purchases, right, on Ubisoft in Luna. I don't think that was a Stadia thing. Like if we go back to when Stadia shut down, that was Ubisoft saying, we're going to give you credit for your license that you already bought, right? Because when Stadia shut down, if you bought a Ubisoft game, Stadia refunded you the amount for that game. It was actually really interesting. They refunded you. Ubisoft still had your information, right? That's similar to like when, remember that time, like it was the summer before Stadia shut down. There was like this thing where no one could get their information for like The Division. I remember that was a big thing. It was like The Division 2 and Rainbow Six and like the Far Cry, like all that got wiped by Ubisoft. And then there was a thing where like if you sent a message to the Stadia team, they would then work back with Ubisoft to say like, put this thing back on. Well, if we take that same example, I wouldn't say the Stadia storefront is the reason you have that license per se. I would say it's because Ubisoft credits you that license. And now you have the license because through whatever they're doing. And now Ubisoft has the coordination with Luna because you're going through their storefront to get to the Ubisoft launcher. But maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I remember it. I don't think it's a proof point for Stadia as much as it's a proof point for Ubisoft. I don't part, but if I didn't know better, I would be rocking an Nvidia card. If you didn't know better, you have an AMD, yeah. But that's just branding. That's just branding. Like here's an example. If Steam goes offline, what happens? Well, if Steam goes offline, what happens? Where is your information? How can you get that on another launcher? You see that's the difference. If Nvidia goes offline, there's an alternative. But if Steam goes down, like what's your alternative? That's the power I'm talking about. You can say, well, that's for everything. It's like kind of, but I would also say that's because we have a lot of monopolies out there. I say I have an option when you can opt in and out if you want that but it's on parents to monitor what their child does online. I agree, Sourble. I think it's on both sides. And I think that's ultimately why the Attorney General, who is it, Louisiana, who's suing them? I think that's what they're going to have to prove is if Steam, if Roblox has a verification that says, are you X, are you Y? And someone's breaking the law on that. Like, obviously there needs to be something else, but there also needs to be like I think there's a parental duty as well. And that's most likely the Attorney General is going to have to get over. Because the option's simple, like, right? The thing is to say, like, hey, are you under YouTube kids? If you're under the age of whatever, you can't watch whatever. And And Roblox being, even though we think of it as like a kid's game, Roblox is essentially just a giant user-generated content, right? So maybe they say like, hey, if you're building an app within Roblox and it's for kids, it has to meet XYZ parameters. You know what I'm saying? But to say like, oh, Roblox is going under, no, like there's a whole bunch of like remedies that can happen, and part of those remedies are also parental consent. And I have one which is RTX 3060, but what I'm saying is a lot of people favor NVIDIA because it's better not observe their options. That's why NVIDIA charge. But that's not monopoly. That's not a monopoly. Right? That's like saying a lot of people will buy Nike not realizing like ASICS is a better shoe. Right? That's just marketing. That's just mind share. That's for like everything, right? I honestly don't think that market's that large personally. But again, some of that is just brand loyalty, some of that is whatever. But I wouldn't say that's a monopoly. You know what I mean? That's just good. That's either like good marketing. AMD needs to figure out some way to get in there. I'm not going to punish someone who does. That's like saying a Samsung phone outperforms an Apple phone. Don't people may get upset with me on that. Don't get upset at me. But some people would say that, right? A Samsung phone outperforms an Apple phone. But Apple can get away with not upgrading stuff. But I see things going through. Spartan, what's going on? Spartan, how are you, man? Spartan, I was thinking about you Monday. I know it's a tough day. Just want to see how your week's going. But thank you so much, Spartan, for that. Thank you for the 10. I didn't say that was. Okay, my bad, Neos then. 100%. So a pathway to break up Steam could be to force Steam to be an installation point for games purchased on a different storefront. Yeah, but then Steam would fight back against that, right? See, that's the problem. I'm not saying you're wrong, granted, by the way, but you're right. A way you could say, like, Steam has to allow other storefronts to benefit from its storefront. But then that's one of its unique selling points that Zalix said, right? That outdoes the network effect that Steam built. I'm not saying these are easy questions. I'm not saying that by any means, like, Purple has the solution to it. What I am saying is that I think the idea of a monopoly is a very certain idea. There are potentially like good monopolies, right? I think when we hear monopoly, there is something to be said like, no, this is something that is beneficial to consumers, right? But there's always the case to say like, well, if competition is good, did Steam fairly get its market share through competition? Or were there things that they did that was anti-competitive? When I look at where Steam's journey has been, I think you can make an argument that no, Steam hasn't been working in the best interest of gamers at all the time. However, there was never necessarily something structurally to change them. And now they're in such a position that you then have this situation where Neos is like, it's stupid not to launch something on Steam. But then now you're telling a business that they have to do business with Steam in order to get your business. That's where I think the nuance matters. That's all. That's all. If you take anything from today, it's nuance matters, and there's a game that's literally taking every sci-fi game and putting it all in one. The fact that you can buy a Ubisoft game on a different storefront and play it on other storefronts. Okay, I see what you're saying. Are you buying it on a different storefront, though? Or are you just buying access to the Ubisoft storefront? That's the thing with Ubisoft. Ubisoft's weird, man. But I'll take your word for it, granted. I'll take your word. What you're saying is you can buy something on But then can you buy something on Ubisoft and not sign into Ubisoft? So here's a better example. Can I buy a Ubisoft game on Xbox and play that game on Luna? I don't think you can, right? It has to be Ubisoft PC. So can you buy a Ubisoft PC game but not have a Ubisoft account? That I don't know. Like, again, I don't play enough. I just know my Far Cry 5 New Dawn save didn't carry over. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. I understand what fight tooth and nail. It might be a court solution if they decide to be. I don't know. I'm not saying I just bring it up. I just bring it up. That's all. I'm not saying there's a court case. I'm not saying Steam's gonna go on. It's just something to think about. That's all. He went peacefully in my. Oh man, I know what that feels like. But what I am gonna say, Spartan, is I don't think there would be a better place he would want to say goodbye. You know what I mean? I think that's the thing. Like, think about it. Like, if you were to, man, I'm getting like emotional thinking about my dad. But at the end of when we have to say goodbye, like, where do you want to say goodbye? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of think about that, and I think you would want to say goodbye by like the people who love you, right? So I give you that, Spartan. You know, I know it was a tough week, but I give you that little bit of that you did something right. You know what I mean? It would be cool. It would be a cool world if Xbox Ubisoft purchases worked on Luna. So it doesn't work. It doesn't work. So whose fault is that? It would be cool if Xbox purchases worked on Xbox PC. But isn't that the thing? Like, I can't get Xbox console on Xbox PC. Like I said, there's a lot of things that when you go into the back end of it, it looks weird. And what I would ultimately say that just like we saw with YouTube and how in a combination of different platforms kind of broke up traditional media, right now I see Steam as like almost one of those incumbents. And the way to break that up, especially when you have, like, we talk about Roblox that has literally a daily player base of like 111 million people. Redonkulous. When that if Roblox continues to make their engine, continues to improve their engine, right? And what I mean by their engine isn't just like the funky art style, but from a perspective of like, there's like a Call of Duty clone on Roblox, right? Like, if they continue to tweak that and give developers tools, developers are going to go where consumers are. And you already have a consumer behavior in that generation who's like 15 and under to go to Roblox daily. That's going to stick with them. Just like we see like the Fortnite generation, right? Like 8 years ago, it's like these kids are playing Fortnite. They're still playing Fortnite. And so Roblox, I'm not saying it will. I mean, I have a video coming out that says it is, but truth be told, I still think it's a question. Nerdness was talking about the possibility that Xbox console games would work on PC. I think Nerdness is, I mean, I remember when Nerdness was small, when they were Stadia, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it. Like, because it's not totally up to Xbox would have to flip the bill, right? Because the thing is, if I'm because here's the thing. And here's why I don't think they're gonna. Here's why I'm skeptical. I'm not gonna say they would do it, but here's why I'm skeptical. I own a game. I shared my profit with Xbox. This is hypothetical. I own Ori, right? Or I made Ori. And so I am, Xbox is the publisher, Ori. Give me a game that's not published by Xbox. Outriders. Let's use Outriders. I hate Square. But I own Outriders. I give Xbox the ability to license my game out for console. Xbox then decides to license the game out on PC. I technically have, from my perspective, you've just given out 2 licenses to the game, but you only paid me for 1 license of the game. That's why I say if that is to happen, Xbox is going to have to flip the bill, and or the publishers are going to have to allow that to happen free. Some would, right? But I don't have a lot of faith, like, especially considering Xbox doesn't even do that with like Diablo, right? It's the same thing as if I have the license on Xbox, you're now telling me that that is good on PlayStation. It's literally a different license. It might happen. You want it to happen, roster. Stadia Talk, I think, or something like that. Xbox does have some games that a single purchase gets you both PC and versions and cloud sync, but not all games support. Yeah, exactly. That's why I would say it would take like either Xbox flipping the bill, the publisher saying, yes, you can do it, or the cloud version, there is some stimulation. The cloud version is why I think they won't do it, because the cloud version, they have a license to stream via, right? And I would have to see, like, I'm sure there's some pattern you can see why some games can do it and some games can't. But because they've put so much effort into the cloud, that's why I don't think they're going to allow you to do like my console purchase game can now work on my PC. Like I just don't. It's gonna be like a pretty big, and they're doing this whole push to get everybody on cloud. And if they can get everybody on cloud minus 20% of the users, I think they're gonna take it. Because that would be a ton of licenses that they then have to pay back to publishers. Xbox does have some games that, but they're talking about the actual console version and working on PC using a hypervisor. Man, a hypervisor sounds super sci-fi. The hypervisor. So it's not a technical problem, but a business problem. It sounds like, yeah, it's 100% a license problem. 100% a license problem. I mean, there might be a technical component to it, but to me, that's the actual thing. Because we've always heard this, like they give you a license to play the game here, right? They give you a license to play the game on Nintendo. They give you the license to play the game on PC. That's what Steam is actually selling you, right? Steam is selling you the license to access the game. But that's the license. If anything, this is like Tetris, right? If you've seen the Apple movie, and they were bidding on the rights of Tetris for like an arcade game versus a handheld versus a home console. It's like the same logic. I 100% believe it's not a technical issue because, yeah, it's like if you can do both, like they know they know you have the license, right? They know that Purple's Xbox account has these licenses. To then take that data and to say like, okay, let's match up that user ID with these licenses on PC. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some conversions there that need to happen on the back end, but it's possible, right? Like, there's some integrations and a few conversions that have to happen, but that's definitely possible, especially if you're just linking this to this. But I think it's because they don't have the license. It does sound like it's just a virtual computer, a computer within a computer. Ooh, that's super sci-fi, computer within a computer. they actually need to make a cloud better for users. Now, I remember, Zay, like you saying that. I remember you saying that. I 100% agree with you. I don't think it's as easy as people think. So when Xbox xCloud first came out, I was having a really interesting conversation with someone who was part of, we'll call it cloud streaming. And, but they called it something else. But we would call it cloud gaming. They called it something else. They said, and I believe this is the issue. Everybody made this huge deal when xCloud first came out because everybody's like, oh, they're using the Series X blades in xCloud. Like that's what they used. And at the time, this person was really, they didn't work, they knew a lot about Stadia's infrastructure. And what they were saying is the issue with that is that it's kind of limiting. Because if you're using Series X blades, that means you can only really do what the Series X can do. And when you need to do more than that, which cloud gaming, building the game in the cloud, you need to have something that's different than that, you're going to have issues. So what I believe like they are working on as much as they, and it works for some people, but I think you have to have like the right configurations and the right things in place to really have it work. I don't think they have the infrastructure. They would have to like rebuild some of their cloud infrastructure to allow streaming to work the way they want it to work. So I don't know how that's going to turn out. I honestly don't know how that's going to turn out, but that is their push. Obviously, we've heard that. Did George from Star Trek wear a hypervisor? I think so. Hypervisor. I think so. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. We'll know soon enough, right? I don't think we'll know within the next 2 years what Xbox is going to do. I don't know. I have a feeling, but I don't know. Hey, Ja, I know it's interesting. Is it? I think I geek out on this type of stuff, but I don't know if other people find it. Like, I just am like, I think the backwards workings of gaming is very interesting. And it's not very transparent. And it's like very open. And so then you have like the Clippy movement that Granite's part of. Which I think there could be more transparency in that process. 100%. But I also think that there are some legit like business implications that someone has to take the hit. Like, right. And right now it's consumers. You know what I mean? And should that be the case? I don't know. I don't know if that's the, I don't think so. I think there's a middle ground. I'm getting the Switch 2 Pokemon. Do they have a Switch 2 Pokemon? Have you seen gameplay for that game, Joe? Have you seen gameplay for that? They haven't announced. I haven't seen anything for that game. I mean, other than it's coming to Switch 2. That's it. That's all I've seen. I'm happy for Bendy. Or not. Yeah, I'm happy for Bendy, and I'm happy for that game that we saw last week where you're moving the animals, the hurdling in Shinobi. Those are like my next, like 1, 2, 3. Yes, you have. What does it look like? What does the new Pokemon game look like? I don't even know. Like, is it a turn-based RPG? Like, what is it? I don't even know what a Pokemon game looks like. Like, is it the same as like you're just walking around and it's like, Pokemon, let me fight it? Or is it going to look like Claire Obscure, Expedition 33 or whatever? That's my thing. Like, I feel like turn-based RPGs have moved beyond where Pokemon. But if you're excited, I'm excited, right? Because I just say, if people have something to be excited for, they'll be excited. That's all. So I'm excited for you. Same gameplay like clips. Okay, I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna go look at it. I'm gonna showcase it closer to the date because it comes out in October, right? I'll showcase it closer to the date. I'm doing that for a couple of games. But we're at 1020. It's like a battle royale. What? With Pokemon? I'm gonna have to see this. I don't know. I can't picture it. Let me go look at it. All right, y'all. So that's the show. That's it. Thanks for coming by, y'all. Interesting conversations at the end. I'm gonna look this up though. Neo's told me that Nvidia is a monopoly, so I gotta go look that up for him. Shout out to Neos for coming by. I gotta go look up. Brandon and I are going to figure out how to sue in Steam to make it a better thing. So I got to go look that up. I got to go see where Nerd Nest is getting their information. But again, they're a PC oriented channel, so I could see them giving red meat to their audience. So I could see that. And passing it off as like as fact. They wouldn't do that. But no, shout out to Nerd Nest. Really proud for them. And where they landed. Bill and Lloyd. It's just Bill, right? So that's cool. I think I sent you a game link on Discord the other day in the chat. A game link? What? Let me go back. I've been checking Discord. But I could have done it wrong. Ambi was, who was it? Someone was doing something yesterday. I think it was Ambi created something crazy. If y'all haven't seen, there's like profiles in Discord. So you can pick like what type of gamer you are, where you're from. And I think there's like another thing in there. I think Nerd's Nest was just saying that they think they'll have it. It's just Bill and his co-host. Yeah, it could. Like, I just gave you like the reason why I don't think it'll happen, but it could. As Crazy Louis told me, never say never. And so that's it. It could happen. I just think they have to work through some other stuff first. The roles are cool. Yeah, they are. Rouster, you're the recruiter. You have a recruiter badge. I thought that was cool. I get excited about stuff like that. I nerd out. So shout out to Ambi for that. And shout out to Spartan also for the gifted. Shout out to Paul for subbing. Shout out to Audi for also being a member for 3 months. And like I said, I'll be coming out with a video. It may just be for members. But we'll be doing Orcs Must Die this weekend, and we'll be doing Mario Kart on Sunday. Woot woot. But with that, I need to go get an ice pack, and I will see you. All right. So I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, this is Purple Haze, and the proof is in the plane. All right, y'all. Take care, and I will see you on the next one.